This video was brought to you by my generous Patreon supporters. Join today for early access to videos. Much has been said about the shopping mall, its rise in post-war America, its cultural role in the second half of the 20th century, and its downfall in the age of the internet. Perhaps due to this, a peculiar fascination with dead and dying malls has sprung up on social media, with images of childhood haunts crumbling into ruin captivating viewers' imaginations. I was never really a mall kid. We were more of a Barnes & Noble family, but I do have a few memories of visiting Park City Mall in Lancaster growing up. So today I thought I'd make a slightly different video from my usual fare and visit a mall taken over by entropy, using transit of course. Here in Pittsburgh, where I live now, there are plenty of abandoned malls. Parkway Center is mostly demolished, with a weird giant eagle taking up what's left of the building. This is the entrance for some reason. Allegheny Center on the north side is now a bougie co-working space. And of course, we can't forget the infamous Century 3 Mall in the South Hills, closed at the start of the pandemic.
Now, the one thing about exploring all of those malls is you can't go inside them. So, I'm going to go to one more mall in Allegheny County called the Galleria at Pittsburgh Mills, which is technically still open, but probably not for very long. And even though it's in Allegheny County, it's not accessible by Pittsburgh Regional Transit. It's accessible by Westmoreland Transit for some reason. So this is going to be an interesting ride.
Let's take a look at the map. I started here in downtown, and the Galleria is here. To get there, I'd be taking the P10 bus up the Allegheny Valley, then getting off and walking across the river to New Kensington, which is in Westmoreland County. I'd then take the Westmoreland Transit 14S back across the river into Allegheny County, eventually reaching the Galleria. The P10 arrived, and soon we were on the East Busway, leaving downtown. We followed this as far as the East Liberty Garage, where we moved onto surface roads. Washington Boulevard took us as far as the Highland Park Bridge, where we had our first glimpse of the Allegheny River as we crossed it. On the north bank, we joined Highway 28. Our first stop off the highway was Harmar. The bus made a quick deviation to a park and ride, and we passed a lot full of PRT's hybrid electric buses, as well as a sign still displaying the old Port Authority logo. From here, we passed under the Bessemer and Lake Erie Railroad Bridge, a massive trestle constructed in 1897 and double-tracked with additional structure in 1918. Today, it's owned by Canadian National. After that, we rode through the towns of Acmetonia and Cheswick. I discovered that there was a transfer I could make here that would save me some walking, so I hopped off the P10 in Springdale, the next town over.
So as it turns out, I can actually get off here in Springdale and take the number 1 bus to New Kensington, and here it comes right now.
The 1 continued the route the P10 would have taken heading north, but unlike its predecessor, it would cross the Allegheny River into New Kensington, eliminating my need to walk for this portion of the journey. The late afternoon views of the river were particularly awesome as we rode along the banks and crossed the C.L. Schmidt Bridge.
So as you can see, this particular stop serves both the Pittsburgh Regional Transit buses and Westmoreland Transit. So I've got about 25 minutes until my bus to the Galleria at Pittsburgh Mills. So I'm going to explore New Kensington and see what there is to see.
New Kensington sports a population of about 12,000, and on the Tuesday afternoon that I was there, it was almost completely empty, which is a shame because it definitely had the bones of a good town, with walkable streets, dense buildings, and a few local businesses. Visiting places like this always reminds me of how human-centric small towns have fallen by the wayside, areas that time forgot in the steady march of so-called progress. Still, there were a few highlights. Some of my older viewers may recognize the objects on display at the Large Scale Systems Museum.
I just realized the town clock is about 15 minutes behind schedule. But what's on schedule is our bus, which is currently sitting in the parking lot.
After a few minutes, it pulled up to the shelter and we were off. Crossing the Allegheny River again, we found ourselves back in Allegheny County. The bus took an indirect route to the mall via Route 28, but before long, we were arriving at our destination.
Take care. And here is the Galleria. As you can see, the parking lot is fairly empty, although it is evening on a weekday, so you wouldn't expect it to be that full, but let's take a look inside and see what's going on. There's already a telltale sign that it is a dying mall, which is a spirit Halloween. and at the other end. I will say for starters that this isn't a very well-signed bus stop. As in, there are no signs, just 2 benches. So we've got a Macy's over here. So far, this mall kind of strikes me as one of those places where there's a couple of anchor stores, and those are really what keeps the place running, leading to a lot of liminal space in the rest of it. But we shall see. Oh, sorry, yes, abandoned mall. Okay, so we have reached the main mall, and this is the aesthetic I came here for.
The Galleria opened in 2005, a relative latecomer in the industry, with 905,000 square feet of retail space. Today, despite its promisingly large size, only a handful of retailers occupy the mile of concourse, which was originally divided into 5 themed neighborhoods. The rest of the retail establishments simply sit vacant, gathering dust. But because a few are still operational, the whole facility is legally open to the public.
Sorry, I'm getting distracted again.
One of the most bizarre aspects of this place is that, since it isn't technically abandoned, a few pieces are still operational, such as restrooms, periodic drink machines, and massage chairs.
And we got a cabin in the middle of the Galleria for some reason. It's caution taped off, so we can't explore it.
Some indoor trees are also still alive, and decorations try to connect Pittsburgh's charm to the dying concourse. But it feels as if all of these have just been placed in a warehouse, or a remarkably clean post-apocalyptic movie set.
I wonder how old some of these gummies are. Against my better judgment, I'm trying one. Okay, it's surprisingly better than I thought it would be.
Perhaps the saddest part of this is the number of chairs spaced throughout, attempting to create a common space for shoppers who simply aren't there. Anchor stores such as Joann's Fabrics and Dick's Sporting Goods are probably a big part of why the mall still exists at all, but the latter doesn't even have an entrance into the mall. The deeper we go, the more surreal and otherworldly the mall becomes. The remnants of a NASCAR speed park, which never opened, sit across from a decaying party place.
This is Caleb at Post. I just realized what that spells.
Occasionally, an open and active store can be seen, sticking out like a sore thumb, including a convenience store and a Bath & Body Works. But by and large, the place is dead. The shell of modern human culture with all realness stripped away. The largeness of the space and the reminders of times past emphasize how empty this area truly is. Walking around the Galleria made me wonder, what is to become of a space like this, if nobody wants to sell anything here? Perhaps, in the age of the internet, there is room for malls. One could imagine a future where this whole complex is revitalized with affordable housing and community centers. Or maybe this whole place will just be destroyed and turned into a giant eagle.
And thus, the sun sets over yet another downfall of shallow consumerism. Thanks for watching.